Good afternoon. My name is Stefan Fusi. I'm with the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Duke University's Fuqua School of Business, and welcome to day 2 of our pitch, a competition for Black student founders. Thank you very much for your patience as we have been working with our judges this morning to figure out who is going to be the winners of our $25,000 cash grand prize sponsored by Visa and our brand package by Caramis and all of our other wonderful prizes. Let me tell you a bit about what today's agenda looks like. We're going to start right now with a pitch presentations and Q&A with our finalists. They are going to be happy to answer questions from the audience. Then we'll go into a fireside chat with 4 very distinguished and accomplished ecosystem builders around entrepreneurship. We'll have closing remarks by Dean Anthony Nelson of the North Carolina Central University School of Business. And then the moment you're all waiting for, at least I know I am, the award presentations, who's going to take home the prizes and go off and continue building great things with them. So without further ado, we're going to show you our finalists. We have Theravi and Amira Idris, Rerent and Alikaya Barkley, MTM, Jasmine Chigbu, MindStand Technologies with Michael Ogunsanya, and Renmo, Patrick Pearson Pra. All 5 of our finalists have won prizes from our very generous sponsors, and so we're very thankful for have them. Another shout out to all of our key sponsors. You just saw them up on the screen there. We could not have pulled this project off without all of your help. Thank you very much. So now what we're going to do is bring up one of our finalists, Jasmine Chigbu from MTM, and we'll show you a bit about her company and then take some questions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine Chigbu, and I'm the founder and CEO of MTM, a scholarship platform for maximizing student retention. So I'm going to take you all back for a second. I want you to think about the absolute most incredible memory you have from college. I'm talking about, was it that insane party that you and your friends went to that you still talk about today and chuckle? Or was it that time that your college team won the national championship and it set the tone for the rest of the school year? Or was it when you met those friends or those mentors who ended up changing the trajectory of your life forever? How do those memories make you feel? Now, what if I told you that students across the country were being stripped of the opportunity of making those same memories, of accessing those same opportunities, and potentially meeting those people who could change their lives forever? This is happening to students every day, as a skyrocketing cost of higher education, coupled with schools' inability to offer their students additional financial aid or adequately connect them with financial resources, has ultimately made college too expensive for a lot of students. And as a result, students are either not able to go to college at all, or they're not able to stay in college when they get there. But what if I told you I can enable schools to teach their students how I went from being a student who was rejected from all 25 medical schools I applied to the first time around, to someone who was able to secure over $300,000 in scholarships and grants in order to attend the Duke School of Medicine? Would you listen? So let's break down the problem. There are 3 critical issues facing the college system today. Problem number 1, inefficient systems are being used to connect students with scholarships. I mean, can you imagine? Administrators are still using binders and Excel spreadsheets to share scholarship information. It's simply not working. Problem number 2, financial stress faced by both students and academic institutions ultimately lowers BIPOC student retention. And BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. Over the past few years, we've seen states cut their funding to higher education. And on top of that, we've seen the educational system lose an estimated $120 billion in the last 12 months alone. And on top of that, we've seen an 18% decrease in Black male enrollment in colleges in the past 12 months. Clearly, we have hit a crisis level. This leads me to problem number 3. Reduced enrollment ultimately leads to decreased revenues for schools. This is MTM's solution. We are a software platform designed to increase retention of BIPOC students. We do this in 3 simple steps. Number 1, we enable schools to curate the scholarship search for their students with streamlined scholarship connections. Number 2, we enable schools to better match their students with scholarships, which improves student retention. And number 3, we enable schools to secure enrollment of their students, which ultimately leads to increased revenue for their schools. As you can see, this is a win-win situation. When the students win, the schools win as well. This is our product. If MTM was available to me 4 years ago, I would have first entered my demographic information. I would have then been shown a graph with my financial needs and gaps. And then in a matter of seconds, I would have been matched with a curated list of scholarships for underrepresented students just like me. So I know you're curious about the market, so let's break it down. There's currently $56 billion spent on education tech in US schools every single year. Out of that, $8.8 billion is spent on student software. So as you can see, if MTM is able to capture even 1% of the market, there's a huge opportunity for growth and impact. Now let's talk about our differential value proposition. Yes, we do have competition. But since MTM is focused on the BIPOC niche and we are also a scalable software, as you can see, we stand in a segment all by ourselves. This is our team's revenue model. We are using a SaaS model with colleges and universities as our customers. The pricing is tiered and based on the amount of users. We are estimating an $18,000 average annual fee per subscription. Let's check out our milestones. Q4 was awesome. We finalized MVP development, and in the last 90 days, we secured 2 pilot customers, one of which is paying. In Q1 of 2021, we launched pilot testing and continued agile development. In Q4 of 2021, we project 8 customers, which translates into $144,000 in revenue. And in 2022, our team projects 24 customers, which translates into $432,000 in revenue. Now let's talk about our rock star team. I'm so excited to talk about our team. We have over 18 years in software, web, and technical development, and over 8 years in startup operations, and over 5 years in college access and financial aid. We not only have the talent, but we have the grit to go with it. We are looking to close our pre-seed round in the next 90 days. We have currently raised $30,000 in non-dilutive funds from past pitch competitions and grants. We plan to use $100,000 to reach our next milestone, which includes initial customer acquisition and onboarding, our go-to-market strategy, and continued platform feature development. MTM is on a mission to revolutionize higher education. Imagine the impact we could have on the trajectory of students' lives if we did this together. Our team is creating an ecosystem of opportunities without obstacles, and we want you to join us.
Amazing, Jasmine. Thank you very much and great job.
Thank you.
I'd love to while we wait on some questions for the audience from the audience, I'd love to ask you, tell us a bit about what the experience has been like engaging with the coaches and judges throughout this program. Love to understand how you feel it helped with your business.
Yes, it's been an amazing experience. I think we were given 4 coaches total, and I think everyone comes from a different background, a different professional background, and has different experiences. So I think one thing I learned is that there's always room to learn and there's always room for improvement, and that depending on the perspective of the person or the advisor or the mentor, that you may get different advice. But I think it's always helpful to seek that advice, because I think over the past few weeks, just working with the coaches, they've really helped me refine my business model, refine my packaging, my messaging, and then how we're presenting our team and our startup to the world. So it's been an interesting perspective. And I think, yes.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. We're going to go on to another of our finalists, and then we may come back with some more questions for you, Jasmine. So let's see. Re-Rent. Looks like the team from Re-Rent is here.
All right. So I launched Re-Rent from my apartment at Yale. Now we're grossing over 100K and tackling a $56 billion market. You see, as a strategy consultant, I used to leave my apartment empty every week as I traveled for work. I knew about Airbnb, but who's going to clean before and after, linens, laundry? How was I going to manage an issue that popped up with guests when I was a state away, often a time zone away? I was prevented from monetizing my underutilized space because of all of these reasons. That's why I launched Re-Rent. Re-Rent handles cleaning, laundry, guest management, all through our contractors as coordinated by our platform. On-demand hotel staff in a box, if you will. Let me tell you a bit about our go-to-market with students and how it ties to the student debt crisis. You see, after consulting, I went back to grad school, signed a 12-month lease, only to be gone fall break, spring break, winter break, and summer. I counted up all the days. It was more than 170. $5,000 in wasted rent for me. For the average student, we're talking $4,300. And there are a lot of off-campus students, 11 million of them. So it's easy to see how this becomes a multi-billion-dollar problem. But what's less obvious is that housing costs drive student debt. I was paying for my housing with debt, and for students that take on debt, many of them get discounts on tuition, but that's not true for housing. And so that's why housing drives so much of the student debt crisis. So I was looking not just to test the business model, but also to put money back into students' pockets. And so of the 100K in revenue, 50K of that went back into the pockets of students as they avoided debt and recouped rent. On the guest side, we served over 400 of them for more than 1,200 nights at a high level of service. But the thing I want you to take away most importantly is that 90% of our clients hadn't home shared before. But after Re-Rent removed the friction, they did it, and 96% of them did it again. They were now monetizing their space because they had the option and the real ability. So now we're looking to get our solution into more hands. This past year, we poured over 4,500 developer hours into our product, and we'll continue to refine it as we launch in new cities this summer. Travel was on pause during the pandemic, but this summer is going to be a party, particularly because we're able to take advantage of quickly onboarding third-party inventory. How does it work? Signing up for Re-Rent takes 2 minutes. It's address, amenities, pictures. We'll do a 15-minute consultation over the phone. And then from that point, you tell us when you're going to be away and call it a day. We handle the rest, including the aforementioned hospitality operations, putting it up on different marketing channels, handling pricing. And then when the revenue comes in, we split it 50-50, our hospitality, your space. And then for longer stays, it's 80-20. This is how those economics break down. So in this case, it's a 5-day stay, $80 a night. We would take half of that, $50 would go towards cleaning and initial cost, including lock boxes, leaving 75% margin on what we take as our share. And our costs are per stay, but our revenues are per day, which adds strength to the business model. Essentially, what we've done is create an infrastructure. Before DoorDash, Chinese restaurants, and pizza places delivered, now any restaurant can deliver without thinking about creating that infrastructure for themselves. They can just take advantage of the existing infrastructure. Similarly, we're looking to make it so that anyone can monetize their space without thinking about taking on a part-time job. It can be passive. We provide the infrastructure, and the biggest difference is that the underlying asset is much more valuable. So there's a much bigger margin there. But our goal is for there to be no wasted space. We help students get more from their homes through home sharing, and we help our guests expect more from their accommodations. Thank you.
Alakaya, great job. Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Jasmine. Just tell us what it's been like to engage with the coaches and or judges through this process, and any takeaways that you have from that.
Sure. The judges have been tough, but it's great to see so many really well-established VCs and other folks joining in to help be a part of this experience and being a part of pushing us to better our businesses. The coaching experience has been amazing, just because a lot of those folks are also VCs or business folks who can help us craft and better. Just I would say that my presentation now is far stronger than it would have been had I not gotten the chance to have sounding boards along the way. And so it's been an opportunity for me to really refine things.
That's awesome. Great to hear that. Looking through the questions from the audience, Jasmine, if you're still with us here, there's one question for you there about, and please stay with us, Kaya, because I want to ask another question. What is the sales cycle for MTM? How was pricing determined? This is an audience question for you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So with our pilot programs that we're doing, we were able to secure both customers in a 90-day cycle. So that was great. And then for pricing, we use value-based pricing. So we use a conservative estimate. If we're able to increase the average financial aid a students in the United States is able to secure by 15%, that's how we base our pricing per student based on the average increase.
Got it. Thank you. What has been the excitement around your business, Alakaya, with your peers? You're maybe talking to some of them about coming onto your platform, those who are still current students. What's that been like?
That part is a lot of fun. It's always, it's a fun experience to get to solve a problem that your peers are experiencing and then see them go from, maybe being skeptical about stepping onto the platform to trying to use the platform like at any point that they can. Because you see their growth and understanding of the problem, even for themselves, and what what could be possible, how the future could differ. Kind of like the magic when you use Uber for the first time. It's seeing that kind of excitement is special.
Thank you very much for sharing that. You've got a question from the audience, and then we'll take this question. Then we will pull up our next finalist. What is the competitor landscape in your space and your positioning?
Sure. So I would say that there's the platform or the marketplace, Airbnb and VRBO. Those are the two main marketplaces. That's where guests go to find short-term rentals. And then you have the providers of short-term rentals, which largely have been individual hosts. And now there's some property management firms and then some full-service hospitality brands. We would be one of those. Sonder is another. And essentially the core difference between us and Sonder is that most of our customers, our clients, are bringing their spaces when they're not using them. And we work with renters, where Sonder typically works with either owners or leases their own space.
Thank you very much. All right, let's go to Renmo. Let's hear from them.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lillian Izora. I grew up in Nigeria, and when I first graduated college, I was so excited to move to a new city and start my new job, which is a story that plays every year, regularly around the world. But the only difference is when I needed to move into my newly found apartment, I had to pay 2 whole years worth of rent upfront. Can you imagine? Which brings me to what I want to talk about today. Renmo, credit assessments for better living. What is the problem? Well, when tenants rent a home in West Africa, they often have to pay the entire lease upfront. So picture Ama, recent university graduate living in a rural town in Ghana, got the opportunity to get a dream job in Accra, Ghana, and she's excited to move to a big city. She's found a home but cannot afford the upfront rent that the landlord, Joseph, is asking for. And then there's Joseph, who's the landlord, renting out one-bedroom property in Accra. He charges the whole 12 months worth of rent upfront. He's spoken with several potential renters, but the problem is there's more people like Ama than there are who can actually afford the rent. And so Joseph is stuck with his apartment for 6 months, more than he wants to be stuck with it. Why is this even a challenge? Well, there's no access to a credit system, and there's a huge lack of trust between the landlords and the tenants. We did survey a few landlords, and by far, lack of trust is the biggest issue why they do not collect monthly rent, but there's still a few more who are worried about not having a way to collect the rent monthly. And then for the tenants, it's a big deal to think about the rent advance because they don't also have access to actual credit or even ways and means to have saved up for that huge amount of money that is due every year. And this is where Renmo comes in. Our goal is to make life easy for both Ama and Joseph. We help Ama pay rent monthly and build credit while she's at it. First of all, she finds an apartment, gets verified and approved for funding, matches with the landlord, and voila, she's ready to pay rent to Renmo monthly. And we're collecting data from her that helps her to build credit in the long run. And for Joseph, he lists his apartment on Renmo's platform. He gets matched with a verified tenant like Ama, receives his guaranteed rent payment from Renmo, and fills up his vacancies quickly. This is a win-win for both of them. For Ama, it saves her time and reduces the stress of worrying about that huge upfront cost. And she can redistribute capital to other things. Because face it, rent is not the only thing that Ama has to worry about at this new job in this new city. She also gets to build credit for other services in the long run. For Joseph, not only does he get higher occupancy rates, he gets verified tenants, guaranteed payments, and faster occupancies for his apartment. Why do we think this is a good idea? Well, the World Bank and Nigeria's Vanguard newspaper say that there's 90 million people who are urban renters in both Ghana and Nigeria. 30 million of those people are salary renters, with the average monthly rent being $150. That's a $54 billion annual market value. In our beachhead market of Accra, Ghana alone, that market is worth 720 million. If it's so great, why aren't the people already doing this? Well, there's a few people who are playing in different spaces in the market, but not one of them does everything that Renmo does. Renmo is a unique solution because not only does it let renters pay monthly, it helps them build credit for other services in the long run. Airbnb does offer you flexible payments, but face it, no one wants to live in an Airbnb for a long time. And then there's people like Fiverr and Second Homes who actually let you do long-term stay, get flexible payments, and list their own properties on the website, where you don't get to build credit and they do not finance you for low to middle income earners who still have to pay the upfront rent costs to the landlords because they still demand that. How do we make money off of this? Well, we do pay the upfront costs, and then we charge a premium on the monthly rent the tenants pay every month when they pay us back for their monthly rent. And we've done some research and we have made some progress so far. We've surveyed over 350 landlords and tenants. We currently have 70 plus apartments ready to list. 200 plus renters are on our wait list, and 4 beta tenants are currently enjoying the privilege of paying monthly rent. Because let's face it, COVID-19 has emphasized the gaps between salaries and rent payments, and tenants are ready for new solutions for rent payments. Both landlords and tenants also want a system that makes rent easier and provides a way to assess credit worthiness for each other. How have we found these people so far? Well, currently through social media, peer referrals, and some employer-sponsored programs. And we think that in the long run, we can continue to acquire customers by multiple channels at little to no cost. Remember how I mentioned our beta customers? Well, Debbie, our number one beta customer, has been paying monthly rent for the past 4 months, which has allowed her to use her capital for other things, most notably her master's degree. She's investing most of her money now in getting her master's degree for personal development in the future. The process has been so easy and fast for her, and Debbie says she's looking forward to paying for other things monthly via Venmo. Well, Debbie, we got you. The plan for Venmo goes beyond monthly rent payment. We're currently helping people pay rent monthly in Ghana and Nigeria. However, in the long term, we want people to be able to pay for other products and services monthly via Venmo, and also help them collect data and build a credit scoring system in the long run. So just to recap, there is no credit system in West Africa, and there's no trust between the landlords and the tenants. Tenants are required to pay 1 to 3 years worth of rent upfront, but can barely afford it. But both customers are looking for a system that makes rent easier and provides a way to assess creditworthiness. And Venmo is that solution. Not only do we help people pay rent monthly, but we help landlords get better tenants and fill up their vacancies faster, and every tenant gets to build their credit in the long term. Our team is the best for the job. Between us, we have 16 years worth of experience in West Africa. And face it, I was once an AMA just a few years ago, and so was Patrick. But overall, we have experience across strategy, data analytics, risk management, platform development, and technology and startup roles. And the only thing left here to make our dreams come true is you. We do hope that you work with us on this journey to actualizing this goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick and Lillian, for that presentation. I'm going to ask you the same question. What has it been like working in this program as we wait for audience questions to come through? What has it been like engaging with the coaches and the judges?
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, it's been very great working with our coach, Andy. He was very helpful walking us through our model, our business model, and really giving us a very good picture of what we should think about. It's a huge problem in Africa, and we think it is scalable to other places outside Africa in other emerging markets as well. So that is why we think that the way we start is very important, because the way we start will help us to really accelerate after our first hurdle. And so these coaches really helped us to really think about our business plan, our risk assessment, and even how to use the data in analyzing these people and moving forward from this stage. So thanks for this program. We really enjoyed working with all our coaches and our French coaches as well.
You have one question here in the chat here. How do you manage the financial risk? You're on the hook for the rent, and where do you get the initial capital to pay the 1-year lease?
Yeah, so our model is that we are not going to be the one paying the rent for people in the long term. The only reason why we are doing that now is so that we will get enough data to build our algorithm. So our first phase, as Lillian spoke about, is getting the first 100 tenants, which by the end of 1 year will translate to about 330 tenants. And what we want to do with that is basically help them pay their rent and then use the algorithm to really test what we want to do in the long future. But I have to be quick to also add that our platform now is just building credibility and brand equity. The big issue in the market is that people don't trust tenants, and Remo is a new company, nobody trusts us. That is why we are just upfronting the cost now, just as a way to get into the market, build partnership with landlords, and be able to get our algorithm in place for our scaling in the next few years.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Appreciate that. Okay, we are going to pull up MindStan Technologies.
Hi, my name is Michael Ogusanya, and I am the CEO and co-founder of MindStan Technologies. And our mission is to foster a healthy online community, one post at a time. I'd love to start with a story. In 2017, about 4 years ago, I was an intern at a large engineering firm. Every day I came into work excited to be a part of this culture. Mechanical engineering major, I ensured that I dressed the part. I came into work every day with a button-up shirt, glasses. Things were going well. About 3 weeks into the program, I came into work with a bit of a different appearance. I remember sitting down and I had a polo shirt. I wasn't wearing my glasses. My supervisor came up to me that day and he said, "Hey, Michael, I almost didn't recognize you there. I thought you were like a thug or something." In that moment, I didn't know where to turn. I went home that night and I researched within HR, what opportunities do I have? When I looked, I saw that there's 2 opportunities. One is conflict mitigation, me being put in a room with my supervisor to try and explain my ideas, my thoughts. Or 2, pipeline. If I choose to move forward with this issue, how many interns like me will end up at that firm the next year? So I chose to say nothing, and I learned I'm not alone. Over 30% of victims of workplace harassment never have a chance to speak up for fear of retaliation or retribution. $223 billion have been lost over the past 5 years in employee turnover directly related to workplace culture. As we've seen, organizations large and small have encouraged the adoption of online collaboration tools, Slack, Microsoft Teams, and more. As companies have moved towards a more remote and distributed workforce, it is clear that calls for diversity, equity, and inclusion are a main priority within CEOs and employees alike. We at MindStan have developed an AI platform that helps companies reduce churn, understand any areas of implicit bias, and receive actionable metrics on the health and inclusion rate of their organization. We integrate within Slack, Microsoft Teams, G Suite, and more to create real-time trends on the culture of your environment. CEOs, human resource officers, and legal counsels alike can utilize MindStan to understand what is the woman participation in conversations around marketing. If you're hiring new employees in a remote community, MindStan allows you to be able to understand how long does it take for new hires to matriculate into your organization. Meet Donald, a 36-year-old white male tech CEO. Donald reached out to MindStan in 2019 because he was worried that his company may have a bro culture. When we sat down, he told us that he wants to be an informed and inclusive leader. We provided him with monthly data reports to highlight any changes in behavior as well as in engagement. Within the first meeting, when we presented our analytics, Donald was able to understand and identify a toxic person within his company, something that would not have been possible without MindStan. MindStan is venturing into a lucrative market with a solution that will scale. The total addressable market for human capital management, corporate development, and enterprise collaboration tools is $270 billion. When you segment that, looking at the tech-enabled sectors, we're looking at a $108 billion serviceable available market. If MindStan is able to service 2% of the TAM, servicing 40 million users, we are looking at a $5.4 billion immediate market opportunity. We at MindStan follow a subscription-based pricing model, tiered based on organization size, need, and load. Since co-founding in 2018, MindStan has secured customers, $90,000 in angel investments, and launched the MindStan Connector program. The MindStan Connector program is a referral-based community, invites only to heads of HR firms, thought leaders in DEI, and it offers a 5% total contract value commission. We have calculated for every 10 Connector signups, we receive 4 monthly introductions directly to clients. Within 2021 alone, we have received 12 signups from firms ranging from Los Angeles to Pittsburgh down to Raleigh, North Carolina. We anticipate to reach 100 connector program signups by the end of the year. To become the gold standard in addressing workplace culture, Mindstand is raising a $1 million SAFE round. This will give us the ability to invest in our growth strategies, make essential full-time hires in machine learning and sales, and accomplish SOC 2 compliance, giving Mindstand the ability to see $1.2 million in ARR and be ready by Q4 2022 to complete and succeed in a seed round raise. Thank you for your time and thank you for this opportunity. Take care.
Thank you, Michael, and job well done. And there is a question in here from the audience asking about, Elaine's asking, who is the buyer and the user within the company, and what is the sales cycle? I know this is also something that came up in the presentation, so I'd love to hear your response to it.
Absolutely. Always glad to give metrics on Mindstand and our success. So it's a 5-month sales cycle. Our target buyers are Chief Human Resource Officers, VPs of HR, and it's really segmented between 2 spaces. From a reactive point, you're a leader within an organization that's received EEOC complaints or charges, and you need a tool to be able to show how you're moving towards a more inclusive environment. Or you're on the more proactive side. You've initialized and created budgets for DEI, and you just need a tool to be able to measure the efficacy of those programs. You really come in at a great rate. Our average contract size is $7,000, and we're looking at companies 100+ employees to help them today when you're thinking about employee engagement and reducing employee churn.
All right, thank you. And we have one more question, and then we're going to pull up our 5th finalist, Theravi. The question is about the competitive landscape of other vendors.
Excellent. Great enough. Charles Hudson, managing partner of Precursor Ventures, was one of the finalist judges. And one of our competitors is a portfolio company of Precursor, Talk to Spot. That is a company founded by 2 Harvard MBA students. And the whole goal of it is an AI bot that reaches out to victims of workplace harassment. And their end product is a message distilled and sent to the HR manager. When you think about a solution like that, it helps, but it's a bit more reactive. And that's really where the competitive landscape sits with Mindstand. There's 2 axes. The x-axis, where you think on the left side, is keyword analysis, really basic words, what 2000s legacy HR technology provided. If you type a certain 4-letter word, HR would be at your desk the next moment. That has been iterated on in the past 10 years. What we're doing at Mindstand is with our patent pending AI engine, we're understanding the intent and context of conversations. Now let's think about the y-axis. On the lower side is reactive reporting, and Talk to Spot is an excellent example. Again, when you're thinking about DEI and intentional culture and leadership, you need to have a tool that's able to understand and adapt to your community. So with Mindstand, we're looking at an opportunity to be very in-depth when understanding the sentiment and culture of a company, and proactive, ensuring that conversations can be interacted with or remediated before it's too soon or before it's too late.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm just amazed by the range of companies that we've seen today, throughout the whole program, and especially amongst our finalists. So with that, we'll bring up our 5th finalist, Theravi, and hear from them. Amir.
About 2 million people in the United States are living with limb loss. 185,000 amputations occur each year, and 80% of amputees suffer from a condition known as phantom limb pain. Phantom limb pain is ongoing pain in a limb that's no longer there because the brain cannot recognize that a limb has been amputated. This pain can be so severe that it can lead to loss of sleep and a decrease in quality of life. I'm Amira Idris, CEO and founder of Theravi, and I've been chasing a solution for phantom limb pain since 2014. After working at a prosthetic clinic and experiencing firsthand how phantom limb pain can affect an amputee both mentally, physically, and socially. That's why I started my company, Therapy. Therapy is providing non-invasive wearable amputation pain therapy. Phantom limb pain currently does not have any cure, and the leading method to treat this pain is opioids and other prescription medications, which we know have severe side effects that can affect the quality of life of an individual. Our solution is the Therapy Elix, a drug-free wearable device that provides comfort during phantom limb pain attacks by using vibration therapy. So how does it work? The Therapy Elix is a wearable band, which you see right here, that is wrapped around the residual limb. It applies vibration therapy, which mechanically stimulates the nerve endings of the limb, disrupting the pain signals that are being relayed to the brain. In other words, our device is distracting the brain from the pain. Our target market is the 1.7 million amputees suffering from phantom limb pain in the United States, which is currently growing at 10% per year. On average, it can cost an amputee over $3,000 each year for therapy for phantom limb pain. Our device at $300 for therapy puts our total addressable market at $510 million. We're providing a product and a service. The product is our Therapy Elix hardware device that is purchased once for $200, and it has recurring revenue, which is the replacement of these vibrating nodes that are inside the band for $40. And the replacement of these nodes can change depending on how frequently an amputee uses the device. We also provide a service with our Therapy Elix mobile app. Our app allows our customers to be able to control the device as well as be able to track their pain intensity and frequency. Our goal is to have this data available to our customers on a subscription of $5 each month. This data is currently not available at all in the amputee space. Our business model is to initially focus on amputees who've lost their limb due to trauma. This is because a majority of amputees with traumatic amputations do not have underlying conditions that can affect the efficiency of our device. At $300, we can project our annual revenue in the next 6 years to be $25 million. Currently, there are many alternatives that are used to manage phantom limb pain. Unfortunately, these alternatives are either ineffective, have severe side effects, are expensive, are inconvenient, or are invasive. Thankfully, Therapy addressed these issues. Currently, we have a patent pending for a wearable vibrating apparel to help reduce phantom limb pain, and we're planning to file for a smart vibrating motor that would allow vibration therapy to be prescribable, which is currently not something that is being done. This year, we plan to have our device registered as a FDA Class 1 medical device as a therapeutic vibrator. In the next 5 years, our goal is to become a Class 2 FDA cleared device, which will allow us to be able to make specific claims of how our device helps with phantom limb pain. The value of Therapy is that our Therapy Elix is the only hardware product in the market targeted for phantom limb pain therapy and phantom limb pain tracking. Our go-to-market strategy is to focus on amputees who've lost their limb due to trauma, because we see them as actively seeking solutions for their product and they're willing to try new products. We plan to market our product through social media platforms as well as the Amputee Coalition of America organization and their InMotion magazines ads. We're looking to grow our sales through referral programs from our customers who have benefited from using our device, because we've learned that amputees trust other amputees. So we see this referral program as a big channel to get our product to our customers. We also plan to partner with prosthetic clinics, amputee support groups, and amputee-focused startups like us, who are also part of the amputee community. We believe this will allow us to raise awareness for our product as well as help drive sales. Our goal this year financially is to sell 300 units to get our device in the hands of customers to start collecting data on phantom limb pain. We plan to break even by the year 2023, and we have a projected revenue of over $10 million by 2025. Please be aware, this does not include having our data available to physicians and health insurance providers who would also benefit from the phantom limb data to help improve amputation care. We see this more as a B2B model, which we have not included in the financial model yet. Also, our financial projection does not include licensing our smart motor technology, which we're planning to develop, nor does it include future products and services, which we plan to provide. My team includes myself. I'm the CEO and founder. I have a background in biomedical engineering and entrepreneurship and design. My director of outreach, Horatius Jan Lee, he's an amputee himself who joined our team 3 years ago after benefiting from using the Therapy Elix. Jen is also a member of the USA Sledge Hockey Paralympic team, and he's also a USA military veteran. Our engineer, Chris Wells, has a background in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and also manufacturing. Chris has been with us since 2016. We also have a group of mentor and advisors who have experience with developing and launching medical devices and other hardware into the product and successfully exiting their companies. And we have a medical advisory board of pain physicians who have experience in the pain space. To date, we've sold 118 of our beta device, and we have 80 pre-orders for the second version of our Therapy Elix device, which we plan to launch this year. We also have 6 prosthetic clinics that are currently using our device with their patients, and we've raised $183,000 of non-dilutive funds to get us to where we are today. In addition, we have $22,000 of saves. We are asking for $150,000 to help us reach our goal this year, which includes fulfilling the 80 pre-orders that we have and getting a total of 300 devices to our customers to help us begin to collect data on phantom limb pain. Most of these expenses will go towards inventory, manufacturing, FDA regulation, electronic certification, and further development of our app. We're on track to meet our goal for this year. We currently have the second version of our Therapy Elix developed and ready for manufacturing, and we're currently in the process of raising the $150,000 that we need to fulfill our pre-orders and get our 300 units to our customers. Our goal is to gain traction, which will allow us to raise our first round of funding by next year, which will also allow us to bring on new hires and also launch new features and services for our products. In the next 5 years, we're looking to get our product FDA cleared as a Class 2 medical device, which will allow us to further market our product to a wider range of people and also enter a larger market, such as the pain market by year 2028.
All right. Amazing job by Amira. Unfortunately, she was not able to join us for the Q&A right now, but we will pass along questions and make connections for her as necessary. We do have time to take one question. There was a question for re-rent earlier on in the chat. And then from there, we're going to move into some remarks from our colleagues at North Carolina Central University. Question was about how do you deal with constant turnover in inventory and the difficulty of scaling to multiple cities? Perhaps you could give us a minute on that, Halakaya.
Sure. So for the question about turnover and inventory, once things are institutionalized out of school, they're passed down just from senior to junior or from second year to first year. So once you have a high penetration within a school, even though the inventory technically turns over, it just passes on to the next set of incoming students who are more than happy to learn about the solution that helped their predecessors. And then to the question about scaling, so this model is designed sort of around, it's a contractor model like what Uber or Lyft have done. And while it's not necessarily easy to scale, there's a clear roadmap for how to do it. And it's actually once you get that going, it scales quite quickly. And we have those are great examples of how you scale this up city by city. We'll go down the East Coast and then extend nationwide.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for addressing that. Well, folks, we are excited about all the interest and the comments and questions for our finalists. This concludes the portion that we have to address their Q&A. What we will do, of course, is we'll make available contact information for any of our finalists and our semifinalists from yesterday. And you'll be able to get in touch with them, follow up directly with them. So with that, I'd like to thank all of our finalists for joining us for the Q&A. Stick around a bit later as we will announce the winners of the competition. For now next, we'll bring up Dr. Henry McCoy from North Carolina Central University's School of Business. and entrepreneurship leader and ecosystem extraordinaire. About the program.
Thank you so much, Steve. Stefan, it's been great watching this. I was sitting here watching all these wonderful presentations, and it's certainly wonderful to be, partner with Fuqua School from the School of Business. I'm, as mentioned, Henry McCoy. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship at NCCU School of Business. I also lead our Angel Network, and certainly I'm so glad to be in this partnership. I'm not going to take much of your time, so we can get to some of the brightest minds around this for the panel coming up. But we just at NCCU wanted to bring an opportunity of greeting to you all and really just talk about the importance of this work. We have roughly 1,000 students in the School of Business at NCCU. We also have entrepreneurship as the leading major within the university. It's the fastest growing major in the School of Business. And so it's one of those things that folks are flocking to, but certainly it's incredible to see all the energy and all the excitement around entrepreneurship. But we also know that entrepreneurship takes fuel, and the fuel is capital. And so capital really matters, equity matters, and it's so important that that events like this happen, that we bring and showcase this talent. Capital for Black American entrepreneurs is really scarce. I don't have to tell you the details or the numbers, because many of you probably know those numbers as well as I do. 1%, less than 1% of the venture capital going to Black entrepreneurs. And we really got to change that, because we know the talent is not as scarce as the capital. We just saw that with these great presentations, with these great individuals. And so this event, this pitch event, really is about having that conversation about showing that talent comes in droves when it comes to Black entrepreneurship. And so I just want to give you a couple of words and then pass it back over to Stefan for this great panel that's coming up. This is incredibly important. It's incredibly important because there's this broader entrepreneurial ecosystem that's going on. And that ecosystem in entrepreneurship touches so many other parts of life. It connects to human capital, social capital, financial capital, experiential capital. And what that means really is that when you grow the entrepreneurial ecosystem of Black America, that ends up growing all of America. Just like any ecosystem, when certain species from that ecosystem shrink or disappear, it can have broader ramifications than we would ever imagine. And so what we know when we have a vibrant and strong Black entrepreneurial ecosystem, we have, young people that are learning at the feet of masters. We have young people who are getting opportunities from internships, and they're getting opportunities for job opportunities. They're getting all these different things. They're getting the capital that comes from their parents or their family, growing businesses that then feeds into their ability to get higher education, to get other opportunities. We also know that when businesses grow, that has some impact on who from the philanthropic world gets access to capital, which then ties into the social sector. So all these things are tied in together. And so that's why it's so important for us to take forth this effort that we have now and really move it to grow Black businesses on a much larger scale than we have currently now. I finish up saying this. This is just a start. We have to do much more. We have to create a situation where there's risk capital in Black America, where just like any other group, we can have individuals that come out and create the great companies of our time. We have others that try and fail, but that shouldn't keep capital from coming into the marketplace over time. It's incredibly important to recognize and realize that as we move further into the future, as minority populations historically become the majority population, it's imperative for everybody that we create an ecosystem that is equitable and fair. And that means making sure that there's always access to capital for entrepreneurs who have ideas, who have that spark of interest, that want to be great and want to introduce something into the economic landscape. We know that in Black America, if you know how to dribble a basketball, you know how to run a football, if you know how to string a couple of lyrics together over a rap beat, people know exactly where that innovation can go and be sold. we need to have the same kind of access to capital, the same kind of support, the same kind of motivations, much broader than that. So anyway, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to thank Duke for being a great partner to Stefan for his work, really leading this, all the partners that have come to the table and provided not only financial resources, but the coaches and the mentors and things of that nature. It really does take a whole community. As the saying goes, it takes a village to move this work forward. And we hope that the village continues on beyond just the pitch contest today. And so I'm wishing everybody the best of luck. I know the entrepreneurs are tense on their edge of their seat as to who's going to be the winner. So thank you very much, and turn it back to Stefan.
Thank you very much, Henry. You've said it all, and I want to say one thing. I echo your sentiments about how great it's been working with you and the full team, Keisha Williams and others at NC Central. And I'm just thrilled that it's just the beginning of many more engagements that we'll be having. In the course of putting this program together, it was apparent to me just how interconnected everyone is. The news of the event spread pretty much like wildfire. One investor would call, one ecosystem builder would call an educator, would call an investor, and back and forth. And before you know it, we had lots of people engaged with helping us with the program. And 3 of those folks are going to join us now. I'd like to bring to the stage Faye Horwit, who is the president and CEO of Forward Cities, Karen Levert, who is the venture partner at Pappas Capital, and Dan Roselli, who is co-founder of Packard Place. You may be, those of you who are following the pre-conference information would note that I said 3 instead of 4. Professor Rodney Sampson, who is the executive chairman and CEO of Opportunity Hub, was called away to an important engagement. And he told me how important it was that he had to get on a plane for the first time since the pandemic started. And when he told me that, I knew if this is your very first time getting on a plane during this pandemic, it must be extremely sensitive and time sensitive. So he sends his regrets. But we have 3 fantastic ecosystem builders on the line today, and we are in for a treat. So I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'll just open up with or piggybacking on what Henry was just saying about the need for it taking a village. Each one of you is building amazing ecosystems to help entrepreneurs, to help underrepresented founders get started and to thrive. I'd love if we could start with Faye and perhaps tell us a bit about your work and what does ecosystem building mean to you? You're on mute. You're on mute, Faye.
Thank you, Stephen. Great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to join this group and to have this conversation. Congratulations to the businesses that are part of the competition. I look forward to seeing who sort of emerges. And I will tell you from an ecosystem building perspective, this is an emerging new field, and we see it very much as ecosystem building is pretty much community organizing for businesses. And how do you ensure that every business has what it needs to survive and thrive? And sometimes that means that you have to identify and remove barriers, and particularly for entrepreneurs of color and for Black entrepreneurs, where is that equitable flow of resources? Where is it blocked? Where does it need help? And from an ecosystem building perspective or an equitable ecosystem perspective, we think about it very much from this idea of, we call it E3, and that is equity for every entrepreneur. And we want to make sure that there are diverse entrepreneurs that have market opportunities and have the resources capital they need to grow and thrive. We want to make sure that there are equippers in the ecosystem that are able to provide education and support and resources and capital and mentorship, everything that entrepreneurs need, that they are well equipped and that they have the capacity and the cultural competence to do so for Black entrepreneurs. And then how do you marry those two things together? So this broader ecosystem level of making sure that there's a flow of communication and alignment and assessment in ecosystem to understand where the opportunities and gaps and challenges lie, and that there's a collective group of leaders who are leaning in to make sure that there's a common mission and vision for the community and the entrepreneurial community, and a path forward for how they get there together.
Thank you very much, Faye. Karen, I'm going to ask you the same question. Please tell us about your work in ecosystem building. What does ecosystem building mean to you?
Thanks, Stefan. And also want to just say congrats. This has been super. I had a chance to listen in and want to say thanks to the entrepreneurs. There probably are some that are listening in that didn't get a chance to pitch today, and it's all learning experience. I say winners and learners. There's nothing else. So I've been a part of, from an ecosystem standpoint, building a couple of innovation labs, one Ag Tech and Ventures, one Southeast Tech and Ventures, and I saw just the struggles of trying to get early stage high tech companies into the marketplace. And so now I'm a venture partner at Pappas Capital, still kind of bridging with the innovation labs. And the method behind the madness for that was just seeing the lack of capital that's out there for early stage entrepreneurs. And we have a couple of entrepreneurs, Black founders, African founders actually, that are knocking the allergens out of a peanut in the Ag Tech and Ventures portfolio. And you would think, with a problem as pervasive as a peanut allergy, that it would be easy for them to raise money, and it was tough. I mean, they just didn't have a network or an environment around them to help get there. And so now I'm raising a venture fund, and it's really going to target. I mean, we will be in the ag space, but we don't need an intro to talk to us. Or be connected with someone in a network. And I think those are the type of changes I want to make. I want to be the one with the money, being able to fund some of these companies. And we've got tremendous entrepreneurs that have just proven that against all odds, they've gotten to where they are. And those are the type of investors or type of entrepreneurs that we want to invest in. So my ecosystem influence now will be from the venture side and investing in our entrepreneurs. So I'm happy to be part of the panel, be happy to answer questions too moving forward.
Thank you very much. And I would like to prompt the audience, if you have some questions for any of our panelists, please do enter those into the chat. We'll be monitoring it and we will bring those questions right up. Dan, you know what's coming. Same question for you. Please tell us about your work in ecosystem building and what does ecosystem building mean to you?
Yeah, fantastic. Well, first of all, thanks for the invite to be here and congrats for a wonderful event yesterday and today. I think it's tremendous how the event has turned out. So in Charlotte, which is where we are, about 10 years ago, we started an entrepreneurship center called Packard Place, and then an accelerator program called RevTech Labs, and now a venture fund, CFE Ventures, and a couple of major conferences. And we've always believed that ecosystem is about building and bringing community together. The three core values we founded the organization and the mission on were innovation, entrepreneurship, and community. And community was very purposely brought into that equation. And for us, that has always meant a very inclusive, welcoming community that everyone in the Charlotte ecosystem could participate in, not only physically in the building, but also in the accelerator program. In our fund, and even building on what Dr. McCoy was saying earlier, that idea that there are lots of good opportunities out there. We've been at this almost a decade now, and over half of our companies, not only through our accelerator, but also through our venture fund, have a female founder or founder of color on the team. And that is because we've been very purposeful for 10 years now about recruiting getting the right applications out there. And as we say, when we get to our finalist, list of 24 companies for our accelerator, we let the very best companies win. But because we have a diverse pool in the mix at the final stage, we end up with a very diverse mix in our investment pool and in the accelerator. So I think there's real purposefulness in what we've done in terms of inclusiveness from the beginning. Even at Packard Place, the Entrepreneurship Center, the fellowship that we do there, giving entrepreneurs who are just getting started the opportunity to have free rent, free community, free engagement with the community as they're getting started is a small way of us saying that we want everyone to recognize we know how hard it is to be entrepreneurs, and pulling people from traditionally underrepresented communities in Charlotte into that ecosystem so they can get the social capital and the interactions that happen. And so for us, community is at the core of what we mean by ecosystem building.
Thank you very much, Dan. Something that I'm hearing in all three of your responses is the intention behind the work that you're doing. And I am curious what the reaction is like when you talk with investors about investing in underrepresented founders, and when you mention the statistics and perhaps pose the question, what are you going to do about this? I'm curious to learn what the reactions are like. We have a lot of investors in the audience here, and no doubt others will watch this on preview. So I'm curious to learn how those discussions go. Anything you'd like to share? And I'll just leave it open, whoever would like to jump in on that. Faye, you're muted.
I'll talk, and then while she.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm gonna go last because I have a slightly different take on capital that I'd like to share, but would love to hear what you all have to say.
Thank you, Faye.
I think you should go first. You were talking. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Faye.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I was just gonna say, Forward Cities, our work is deep in equity, and we think about this idea of E3 capital, and that is that there's much more than cash capital in a community. And, it is when you think about investment and who is investing in local entrepreneurs, there's a statistic that of every 1,000 people, only 3 will be entrepreneurs and the rest are supporting community. So how do you get those other 997 people to invest in whatever ways they can into the growth of their local businesses? And that means that you've got to be able to understand what different kinds of capital there are. And so there's investment capital, social, intellectual, networking capital, relational capital, the power of the consumer to purchase and to buy Black and to support Black businesses. And so we think about this much more beyond the idea of venture capital. And I think that once you take that lens, you're able to see just from a standpoint of everyone in the community that can support businesses, even from a corporate perspective. So just sort of our lens on it.
Thank you. Karen, please.
I don't really ask.
Okay.
After I saw I was looking at the kind of going over the questions again this morning. It's like, maybe I would have changed that one. So I think to your point, I don't think it's about asking kind of investors to do more. I think the conversation is completely different now than it was a year ago, or definitely a year ago. People are actually, coming to me, other investors, hey, we're interested in investing in more Black founders, adding just any people of color to our team, et cetera. And I just think the conversation now is there, and it's the situation, the issue's always been there, but I think COVID helped to shine a light on the current situation. And we were moving slow enough, I think, as a world to really see. And so anyone now that just doesn't get it probably will never get it. But I think it's really, I have totally appreciated folks that have reached out, and it's genuine, and I just think it's super that we're having these conversations now. It used to be, from a race perspective, or talking about racial issues, I think it was tough for people to talk about it or bring it up. And now, the door's open, and I think that's the great thing that has happened. I still get back to, how we get more people of color funded. I mean, we've got to open our networks. We've got to make sure people are networked, and we can talk more about that later. But it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. Also, it's not where, a lot of times we think we can fix things immediately. And our issue isn't like here in the middle. It starts at the base, and we got to go back to the elementary students and junior high, and we've got to have a tide rising like that. And but I'm excited that the conversations are happening, and I think change will happen along with that. So thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. And something about the points that Faye was making about the different kinds of capital that people can invest. I can't tell you the number of introductions that people have made to try to make this program happen just because they believe in the idea of a program for Black student founders and would like to help to see that be successful. And going beyond money, just making an introduction or volunteering time to be part of it. I think all of those things count because your name's associated with it, and that means you're vouching for it in a way. So that I agree with you on that. And your point, Karen, about the times being different, I can tell you how many times I've had conversations with sponsors for this program and for others we have in the pipe about the need for racial equity and justice. And that was a conversation I could not really imagine having had 2 years ago. Last year, that just seemed to open right up. There's been some vulnerable moments in there, but here we are. Dan, please, let's bring you into the discussion here.
I want to build on that conversation and Karen's point there too, because I do think things have changed. You may know we produced the Venture 135 conference, which is now the largest venture event in the Southeast. And 2 years ago, we had a panel discussion, as many conferences were doing, on investing, why investing in diverse founders is a good idea. And at the end of the segment of the panel discussion, I got up in front of a room of 300 venture folks, most of whom were white, most of whom were male, and said at the discussion, how many of you would rather be a Black man in venture investing in America today? Guess how many hands went up? 0, right? How many would you prefer to be a woman in venture investing in America today? And again, no hands went up. There's a recognition, there's long been a recognition that it is harder as a woman, that it's harder as a person of color in the venture world than it is a white male. And part of what I've tried to do as an ally, as an advocate for a while is I can do things that I can challenge people in different ways, because if you haven't noticed, I am a white man and I can challenge people in their views, and I won't be labeled in a certain way, right? I won't be labeled as an angry Black woman, to use a stereotype. And I can really challenge people and get it. And that's what I think white men of privilege and that have platform have to be doing to take this conversation to the next level. I feel a great kind of moral obligation there to do it. And move the conversation forward. And even in the conversation, when I'm in a room full of other white dudes talking about this issue, and we talk about the fact that almost all the venture funding has gone to white males historically, why in the world as an investor would you look at 1/3 of all the possible deals that are out there? Why would you exclude women? Why would you exclude founders of color? It's stupidity. And yet the system has been able to get by on that for so long. The system needs to be fundamentally challenged and called out. I really feel strongly about that.
Thank you very much, Dan, for your advocacy and allyship for having those conversations in the rooms where you find yourself. That's important. And each of us need to think of how we would do that. We have a lot of entrepreneurs following us along here, and who will be picking this up later on to hear the discussion. And I'd like to know, to get some perspective, what do you all think early stage Black founders should consider beyond money when evaluating potential investors? Is there a mindset? This is picking up on what you were saying, Dan. Is there a mindset to the investor that they should think about? Is it just who can write the appropriate check for me to hit my next milestone? I love to get some perspectives from you all to share with those folks, those entrepreneurs, how they should think about investors. Dan, I'll let you. How about you continue on that one, and then we'll go around the room.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Well, just in general for entrepreneurs, we always tell entrepreneurs it's a little bit trite, apologies, but to take smart money, right? It's never just about the check. It is always about what else can come along with it, whether it be the background of the investors, the connections they have and advocate for in the fintech world. Part of the reason we've been so successful in the fintech world investing is because of the ecosystem that we have built around it and the corporate partners. And so we know how important that is. I think when it comes to issues of diversity and race and inclusion, look at the roster of who the venture firms have invested in. Do they have diversity in their founders? Look at the team themselves. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I pulled up the website of a venture firm that we want to get to know better, and you look at it and it's 18 white guys and there's 3 women in administration. And
Dan, your connection may have dropped there for a moment. While that recovers, perhaps Karen or Faye, you'd like to jump in on this question.
Faye's up to her.
There you go. The mute button is my enemy these days. There's all the Zooms and all the calls.
I think that's what's going to be on my gravestone. I used to think it was going to be, "Where's my phone?" Now
Right.
It's like, "You're on mute."
You're on
mute. Yes, indeed. So I would say that, along with what Dan was saying, look at the portfolios, but also talk to the entrepreneurs. Look at who has had the path and journey, what ventures had the path and journey that you want to go down, and then take a look at how they got there. Take a look at who funded them and at what stages, and reach out to them and have some conversations about what was their experience, because often you can't know that looking from the outside in. You can see, who funded them, but you don't know what that experience was. You don't know how they navigated it, whether or not there was discrimination along the way. Just being funded is not the only marker that you want to be looking at. So I say take that research a step further and actually reach out to some founders and have some conversations. Get the real deal.
Thank you very much, Karen. What would you add to that?
Yeah, first, I think you have to be with the right investor from the beginning. I'm fundraising right now for my fund, and if I go to a limited partner, which is an investor in funds, and they're ones that only invest in companies that are building swimming pools, then I shouldn't go to that investor. And I think entrepreneurs, you have to spend a lot of time really, first of all, understanding, is that investor the right investor for you? And it takes a lot of time. It's been mentioned, you get on the websites, Dan was talking about checking out the team, seeing if you have any connections there. But you really too need to be with investors that can help you make your company successful. And both Faye and Dan mentioned it's more than money. Ideally, if there's someone on the team in that fund that has kind of been there, done that, they've taken a company to where you want to take yours, that's the best type of investor that you can have. And then the next one, you want to make sure that they're very connected as well. And one reason, for me as an investor, I really, entrepreneurs, I've lived this. You spend so much time fundraising. Hopefully, investors put money in that have pockets to continue to invest in your company, and that they can also bring other folks along with them to invest, so that all of your time isn't spent fundraising and you're connected with investors that can invest now, can invest in the future, and they have relationships to help fund your company moving forward.
I'd like to know what are some practical tips that an early stage investor could take to know that the investors they're talking to are well connected? Is it simply is it just asking? Well, let me not ask and answer. Please let me know what do you think?
Yeah, I would ask. You're heading the right path. I would say, and Faye was mentioning, if you can understand other portfolio companies, you could. I mean, every venture firm puts the companies that they've pretty much invested in, unless they're in some stealth position, on the website. And if there are any connections there that, I mean, you need to find out. And I would just ask, who are your syndicate partners? You can even ask a question like that, and then they'll answer, we invest alongside of X, X, and X. And so it's a question that you can certainly ask. There's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you, Dan. I read that you are the most prolific angel investor in the Charlotte area, that you're on more cap tables than anyone. And so to get there, you must be extremely well connected. Well, I know that is the case. What advice do you have for an investor, for an entrepreneur who wants to connect with someone like you and get access to those networks? Oh, we may have lost Dan, so I will pocket that question for when he comes back online. No worries, we'll keep rolling with it. This is the fun stuff of 2020 and 2021. I've never used a video conference more than this year. Dan, well, you're back. Thank you. I wonder, did you get my question? I can ask it again.
Yeah, please do. That'd be great.
Okay, great. I was just saying that as a very well-connected angel investor, the most prolific angel investor in Charlotte, you're on more cap tables than any other angel investor. What advice do you have for an entrepreneur who wants to connect with someone like you and get access to the kinds of networks that you have?
Yeah, I believe that was already mentioned a little bit, but where you can find a connection to someone you already know, right? LinkedIn's a great tool for that. Warm introductions are always great, but a number of folks, and I do this because I think it's a great way to meet the community. I do open office hours every week. I'll do 3 20-minute meetings with anybody who signs up for them, and many folks do that. And so that's a great way for me personally to get on my schedule. But other folks will do that. I think warm connections can be a great way of making that happen as well. And then I think that the other opportunity you have is to find something. If you do an introduction or have to do a cold introduction, do 60 seconds of research on people, right? Find out what their investment thesis, find out other companies they've invested in. If somebody sends me a note where I can tell that they've taken 60 seconds to try and figure out who I am, what my motivations are, I'll respond to those almost all the time. And so I think, just a little bit of due diligence on your part can go a long way for the introduction.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Well, here's where I'd like to open it up to you panelists, ecosystem builders and entrepreneurs. Let us know, let the audience know whatever happens to be on your mind. What parting remarks would you like to share with us all? And let's start with Faye, please. You're on mute, Faye.
See, I'm trying so hard to minimize sound and train and all of that. Yeah, I would say the one thing that I'm most excited about these days in this space is actually impact investing. Don't sleep on those opportunities. There's a lot of nonprofit and national foundations, regional and local foundations that are looking to build their portfolios of impact investing directly in businesses. And I would say, particularly from a standpoint of equity and Black founders, this is a huge market opportunity that I don't want you to ignore. Take a look at, just Google what foundations are out there leaning into this kind of work, and make yourself known.
Thank you very much, Karen.
Similar to Faye, I don't think there's been a time like this for people of color and anyone really. It's about diversity, and I always sometimes if you built panels and I'm on them, sometimes it's like, oh, they're all female. I'm like, no, that's not diversity. Diversity are white males and black males and white females. It's everyone. The people that come from rural cities. You had a farm in your backyard. You had buildings in your backyard. How did you grow up? And that's the richness that we bring to teams so that they end up being the best performers. And so everyone, we know this now that we are better with diverse teams. And so if you're thinking about starting something, I think this is a good time, and seek out, programs like this, the accelerators. Years ago, there was no such thing. And now you can get involved. Networks are huge because of the investors that are there and the mentors. And then also, how to communicate what your business model is and how those investors will make money. All that is what you get in acceleration and incubators. And so I just say, I said it at the beginning, winners and learners. Being an entrepreneur is a super experience, and you don't have to be the one with the idea. You can. There were a lot of people at Microsoft that made a great amount of money, and they weren't employees 1 through 10. You may be someone that you don't have the vision. You don't have to have it, but you could be someone that's the executor. And visionaries need people like that. So don't let that scare you away. And life is short, so enjoy what you're doing. So hopefully it's to be an entrepreneur. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Karen. Words of wisdom there for sure. And Dan, we're going to give you the final words here on our panel as we wrap up, and the anticipation is building to see who's winning the prizes. So Dan, take it away.
All right. Well, I think my internet still is giving me troubles here, but I'll give this a shot. And I guess the advice that I would give everyone is things forward. So to the extent that they and you can continue to have that momentum and drive, sometimes we just call it scrappiness, because
Dan, it seems we may have lost your connection.
You will get rejection, and you will hear.
I think we may have lost Dan's connection. I did pick up on the need to be scrappy, and I know that Dan will forward additional thoughts. He shared lots of wisdom throughout the panel today, and I would like to thank all. Oh, Dan, you're back. Let's see if we can give you that chance for that final word here.
Hey, Stefan, I'll add a little bit where
Please.
he's headed, because I really feel, when I said this is the time too where you're recognized for having to have had to work harder. Because that, I think of, entrepreneurs, the ones that really resonate with me are the ones that really, hey, they had to work to go to college. There were these obstacles that they got on the other side of, and you talk about those things today, that's the sign of, you'll run through, you've already had to climb walls, and you're going to continue to do it as a successful entrepreneur. And Dan, I think you may have been, don't let me take words out of your mouth, but
you nailed it, Karen. No, that was fantastic.
That's the upside of being an active participant in the ecosystem. You'll have one another's backs and build on where the next person left off. So I would just like to thank you all for being part of this panel and sharing such great words of wisdom. Faye, Karen, Dan, thank you so much. I hope that you all will stick around. We're going to go to a brief break now, and then we will have some remarks from Dean Nelson from the North Carolina Central University School of Business. And then the moment all of you are waiting for, especially the entrepreneurs in the program, who are the winners of our grand prizes, first runner-up and second runner-up prizes. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here as we get to the crowning moments of our first annual Pitch, a Competition for Black Student Founders. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome Dean Anthony Nelson of the North Carolina Central University School of Business. NCCU is our partner in developing this program, and we're just thrilled to have you here today, sir. The floor is yours if you'd like to share some remarks with us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone is doing well. On behalf of North Carolina Central University School of Business, we are so proud and privileged to have been a part of this inspiring pitch competition. We are also proud of the great camaraderie and valued partnership that we have with Duke's Fuqua School of Business and the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. NCCU has roots that are embedded in entrepreneurship because of our historical ties with Black Wall Street here in Durham. And as we look into the future, we believe that exposure to entrepreneurship is one of the best ways to achieve wealth and economic equality and justice. The competition for Black student founders experience was just one way to provide student business founders with access to resources that will enhance the opportunity for development and growth for their businesses. NCCU's School of Business fully supports the pursuit of opportunities that extend and enhance and advance passions and dreams. And as students of color, we especially recognize the challenges you may face in your pursuit. However, if it wasn't evident before, I hope that it's evident now that we have a community of business leaders, investors, and educators that want to see you succeed. From my days in undergrad and grad school, I remember a little bit of what my professors said. I remember a little bit about what I read, but most of what I remember is what I did and who helped me to do those things. I remember the group projects that I worked on. They were memorable and valuable. The relationships that I built were tremendous, and some even continue today. I hope that all of our participants in this pitch competition were able to benefit from this experience. And let me end by saying thank you to the Fireside Chat panelists, Karen Levert, Dan Roselli, Rodney Sampson, and also our major finalist sponsors, which we could not have done this without the sponsors. Visa, Caramis, Relias, Fidelity, Quorum Capital, and having served as a judge for quite a few pitch competitions, I want to express my sincere appreciation to those who had the most difficult job, the judges. Charles Hudson, Cursor Ventures, Donnie with QEY Capital, Susan with Visa, and Jillian with Structure Capital, and Oris with the MBA, Mr. Opule Takubong with CRE Venture Capital. We just extend our heartfelt appreciation appreciation to all of you. And I know that this was a team event, so I want to thank everyone for their participation, especially the student leaders for pulling this off. And thank you all, and we hope and pray the very best for you. So now I'll turn it back over to you, Stefan.
Dr. Nelson, thank you so much for your partnership and the words of wisdom. Really appreciate that. It's just fantastic to work with you and to hear the institutional support for this effort. And this is just the first of many more to come. So thank you so much for being here. Okay, well, now we're going to get to the moments you've all been waiting for. Let's see, I think we have our final awards in. I mean, this is all happening real time, folks. So I'm taking a look at this and we will see where we are. Okay, just checking to see if our finalists are around. Some of our, I think we have, the main crew is here. Okay, well, just to recap the prize situation we have, we were fortunate, blessed, and just overwhelmed with support for this program by so many companies and individuals and institutions. We had lots of support. I think at the end we'll put up another slide here, and to let everyone know who's who. But what I want to say is that from our major sponsors all the way through to those who participated in time and talent, we're very thankful for you helping us to put this on. I'm getting a note that there's one more detail that we need to work out. So I'm going to hold you all in suspense for just another minute. We're going to go on to a brief pause. Don't leave your seat. We'll be right back and we'll be able to announce all of the winners. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you all for your patience while we knock down the very last details of the prizes. I think we've got it all sorted out now. So first, we're going to announce our second runner-up from our 5 finalists. And this team will win $10,000, which is sponsored by Quorum Capital. And to make that presentation, we have Professor David Robinson, a member of the board of Quorum Capital.
Thank you very much, Stefan. It is great to be back with everyone. I'm especially honored to be presenting this award on behalf of Quorum Capital. If I can just take a brief moment and connect back to our conversation yesterday with Grant Hill and Charles and Fred Whitfield. I had Fred Whitfield was talking at length about the power of networks and of making friends and building networks and it being a reciprocal process, and you never know kind of where that will take you. And I got to know Fred Whitfield through my work with Quorum Capital. He and I are both on the advisory board of Quorum Capital, which is a private equity firm that specializes in infrastructure and alternative investments operating out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So I think I first started working with Quorum, trying to help them solve some fairly arcane technical problems related to measuring performance management. And I never in a million years would have guessed that it would have brought me shoulder to shoulder with Fred Whitfield and then ultimately to you today to watch this amazing group of students and these fantastic presentations. So Quorum Capital is delighted to be the presenter of the second runner-up award. And I'm very pleased to say that that award goes to TheraV. TheraV, congratulations.
Congratulations, TheraV. The founder and CEO there is Amira Idris. She was not able to join us for the presentation, but we will for sure get in touch with her and extend the well wishes. We'll also make sure to package this video and get it to her so she could hear your remarks. Thank you very much, David, and thank you very much to Quorum Capital.
Thank you, Stephan.
Okay, then next up will be the Fidelity Community Catalyst Innovation Award, which is sponsored by Fidelity Investments, represented by Tony Parham, Vice President, Innovation and Strategy for FCAT. Tony was also a semifinalist judge, and we're very thankful to have you here. So Tony, please, the floor is yours.
Hey, Stephan, thank you so much for having me and us. And thank you to the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Duke and to NCCU for hosting your inaugural Black Founder Pitch Competition. And I must say that you guys have done a great job. I know these things are a lot of work, a lot of things to pull together. And this being your inaugural effort at this, you've done just a fantastic job. So I want to commend you. But on behalf of Fidelity Investments, I'm pleased to announce the newly created Fidelity Community Catalyst Innovation Award. The Fidelity Community Catalyst Innovation Award is a unique award provided to the pitch contest founder whose startup excels in two dimensions. First of all, the startup is judged to be well positioned to innovatively and successfully address a significant market opportunity. Secondly, the startup is viewed as aligning with Fidelity's core values, specifically in the areas of education, financial literacy, and for diversity and inclusion at all levels of organizations. But before I announce the winner, I actually also want to point out that we at Fidelity believe that for entrepreneurs to really thrive, they also need to focus on their own personal finance with the same intensity as they do for the finances of their startups. So, in addition to our cash prize award, after the competition, we will provide financial literacy resources, workshops, and mentoring to the winner of our award, and to all the finalists, and to all the applicants for this outstanding event. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to announce that the inaugural winner of the 2021 Fidelity Community Catalyst Innovation Award and a cash prize of $15,000 is Jasmine Chigbu, founder and CEO of Minorities to Majorities.
Congratulations, Jasmine. Wow.
Wow. Thank you. The rest of my team couldn't be here, but we are so excited, Tony and Stephan, for this award. And we're excited to spread our message of changing the ecosystem of higher education and conducting more diverse students with financial opportunities. So thank you.
Fantastic.
Congratulations. And thank you very much, Tony and Fidelity, for this great award. Next up will be our first runner-up prize, $15,000 prize, sponsored by Relias, represented by Mike Mutka, Chief Product Officer for Relias. Mike, thank you very much for being here and for your sponsorship.
Thank you, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here for the first time as part of this. My name is Mike Mutka. I'm a co-founder of Relias, which is based in the Research Triangle, and we're an education technology company that serves the healthcare market. So don't roll your eyes, okay? But I'm going to tell you something that you're gonna say sounds like a cliche, but I do wanna congratulate everybody who participated, because I do feel like you're all winners, because you represent the top echelon of your peer group. You went beyond academics and applied stuff and put yourself out there and competed. So well done for that. One thing we believe very strongly at Relias is that culture eats strategy for breakfast, probably for lunch, probably for dinner too. I believe that because a brilliant strategy is a great starting place, but that's all it is. It's a starting point. The success of the strategy hinges on what happens next with that team. And it takes a great team to put the strategy out in the real world, experience what happens next, the good, the bad, the ugly, to get the right feedback quickly, to fail, to adjust, to learn, and keep challenging that original strategy to drive better results. And you all entered this competition to test yourself, your businesses, and your teams in doing that, and I commend you for that. So it's our pleasure to award the finals first runner-up prize of $15,000 to Michael and the team from Mindstand Technologies. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mike. Michael could not join us for this award ceremony. We will be sure to relay your thoughts and share the video with him so that he and his team can continue building the great products that they are working on. Thank you very much, Mike and Relias, for your sponsorship of this program. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, we are going to announce the grand prize winner of our pitch, our inaugural pitch, a competition for Black student founders. This prize was sponsored by Visa, a $25,000 cash prize. And a representative from Visa could not join us at this time. What they wanted us to know is just how excited they are about the program. They had 7 or 8 Visa associates be part of the program, from judging to coaching, and a senior leader, Susan Carrere from Visa, was one of our finals judges. And so they're all in on the competition and for what it stands for. But without further ado, I am thrilled to announce that the inaugural winner, grand prize winner of the $25,000 prize at the competition is MTM, Jasmine Chigbu.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I was not expecting that. Thank you so much. Once again, our team is so excited. We really believe this funding will help us, like I said, transform the ecosystem and connect more Black, Indigenous, and people of color students with financial aid opportunities. Thank you. We are really excited.
You're very welcome and well deserved. Now, some of you will have seen our marketing materials and would have seen that there's another grand prize. And so I would like to bring to the stage Sarah Deasy. She's going to present another prize, our MVP Design, Build, and Brand Prize, $25,000 value. Sarah is the founder and director of delivery and engagement for Caramus.
Thank you so much, Stefan. I really appreciate it. Caramus is delighted to be involved with the first annual pitch event in conjunction with North Carolina Central and Duke Fuqua Center of Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Congratulations to all of the finalists who have taken part in this very rewarding adventure, and a huge congratulations to MTM, the winner of the pitch event of 2021. My name is Sarah Deasy, and I'm one of the founders of Caramus, a creative and technology agency in Raleigh, North Carolina. We help organizations, large and lean, in their digital transformation endeavors, and we specialize in helping companies tell their stories through branding, UI, UX, and custom web and app development work. The name Caramus is actually a derivative of Care I Must, which reminds us of our commitment to delivering quality work to companies and clients that we admire. This spring, we were seeking meaningful ways to invest in our local community and have the great fortune of connecting with Stefan Fusi and Pitch, where we were invited to provide our MVP giveaway to the winner of this event. Our MVP offering is tailor-made for startup organizations ready to elevate their branding and digital presence. And on behalf of Caramus, I'm thrilled to offer the $25,000 MVP prize to MTM. We were very, very much so looking forward to building a relationship with the MTM team and watching your business grow. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Pitch. Thank you to all the amazing student founder participants. And once again, congratulations to Jasmine, Nadia, and Bianca of MTM.
Once again, thank you.
Jasmine.
Thank you. We are excited to work with your team as well as we rebrand and implement our go-to-market strategy. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing. You know, the entrepreneurial world is tough, and the weeks are long. And my weeks are still long. And this event and the amazing things that I've seen over the course of this week have really invigorated me and kind of have me going into Friday on a little bit of a high versus, staggering into it and just kind of crashing on the couch. So thank you guys so much. It's been fantastic.
Thank you very much, Sarah and Karamis, for your support of this program and of the entrepreneurs. Jasmine, congratulations. There's a few more things I'd like to share before everyone signs off. First off, I would like to thank all of the sponsors of our semifinalists, i.e. all of the finalists won $5,000 prizes. Those are sponsored by GM, Landmark Partners, Arctos Sports Partners, Bank of America, and RTI International. So a big shout out to each of our finalists for winning and for your participation in building these great companies. Second thing I'd like to share is some late breaking news. Over the course of yesterday's semifinals rounds, several of the investors and judges who participated in the rounds contacted me and said, we've looked at these pitches and we really want to, we found a company that didn't make your finals as you announced it, but which matches up with a mission that we have, that we see as the spirit for this program. And these are investors from RTP Capital, and they've opted to award the mission prize to Steph Manuel from True Fiction. And so Steph may not be here in the audience with us, but that's the late breaking news that I'd like to share with the group, and congratulations to Steph. Thank you all to all of our sponsors. Thank you all for joining, and please take good care and look forward to additional programming with you in the future.